My name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel. And today I'm going to plant a few brassicas I got from one of the garden centres near us, and obviously they were selling them off because it's really late in the season. But they just tempted me because they just looked really healthy, and I thought, maybe I could try those out even this late in the year and see what happens. Partly, I could harvest them for leaves, but they might grow into little sprout plants late in the season, and some PSB. So I'll show you those, and then we'll do a quick tour of the plots. So these are the plants I got, and I thought, look how healthy these look. I thought, these are really, really nice little plants, and I just couldn't resist them. I think they were about 50p each or something like that, and I thought, yeah, let's try these out. And so we've got a few more than this, which we're going to put on Debbie's plot as well, and we'll see how they go. And I'm going to interplant them with this lettuce on this bed because it's the only space I've got left. Now, I can't say I recommend planting brassicas at this time of year, nor interplanting them really in these lettuce beds, but I just can't resist the challenge and an experiment. So there we go. There's a little sprout there, and a little sprout there, and another one there, and don't they look nice? And so I'll pretty much certainly be just harvesting these for leaves, but I do like sprout leaves. And then there's one of the purple sprouting broccoli, and maybe I should have planted that a little bit deeper, but anyway, never mind, I'm not going to take it out again now. And I did struggle to sort of fit these PSBs in, but one's in there, and there's the other one. So I'm really pleased with those, and again, I really do like PSB leaves, and obviously these don't look fantastic at the moment, a little bit of a tinge to them, but pretty sure now that they're in soil with loads of nutrients, a bit of water, they're going to do really well. So let's just have a quick tour. So as always, we're going to start in the polytunnel, and we'll start with some of the things I'm really happy with. So I'm really, really pleased with these overwintering brassicas. So there's a mix down here. There's some calabrese, there's some cauliflowers, and there's some I can't remember its name. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, quite a nice Romanescos, that's it. So quite a nice selection. And on a little brassica bed, we've got some lovely red cabbages. They seem to be quite liking it in here, although I don't think they're growing any better than the ones that are outside. But because they were started so late, and anybody that's kind of seen the history of my allotment videos knows that we had a massive kind of disaster with the compost basically killing a whole 2 seasons, like August's and early September planting of veg, and so we're like massively behind on everything. But all of this is now really starting to look quite lush, and it's really exciting because we're heading into winter now, only a few days away from winter, and so it's really nice to have all this here in reserve. So let's just have a quick move along here. So the salad bed, it's looking beautiful. Really happy with that, and celery's still chugging along at the back there, and everything's kind of coming along quite nicely on my little bench as well. So my spare broad beans are coming up now. This little bed of spinach beet seems to have taken well to its new pots, and my third succession of overwintered calabrese and cauliflower all seems to be doing very nicely. And my kind of odds and sods tray with all the bits and pieces that didn't have space for, that's all doing well as well. Even the strawberries, which I didn't think would live because they weren't very well rooted, it all seems to be just about alive. My overwintered peas are finally making an appearance, which is quite good, because we did have a mouse which I've caught, and I was a bit worried that the mouse might take them, but no, that's all fine. And the main salad bed is also looking just great, which is pretty good actually, because the outdoor beds now are not growing very strongly, which is no surprise because we've had quite a lot of frost and it's cold and miserable most of the time, so you know, you're not going to expect much growth in these conditions. Finally, the evidence that harvests really are slowing down, so we're accumulating harvesting boxes like crazy. So we've got all those there, and we've got loads in bags down here as well. And you know, basically we can only really harvest now for us and Jennie's family, and that's about it. Let's have a quick overview of how the plot is looking. It's looking reasonably tidy, like everything in winter. You could always tidy it a little bit more, but kind of what's the point? And of course all the water collection system now is all in, and found a little use for my little gutter shelf there. I've put the cat scarers on there, and there's another one down here as well, and these are pretty useful because we did have a bit of a problem with cats climbing up the polytunnel when we first put it up, so we've now, with these cat scarers, to keep it off, but you kind of see the evidence there. It's quite a nasty cat claw run there. So I'll try and do as quick a tour as I can while still providing some useful kind of insight into how things are growing. So I've got the big carrot bed there, and those carrots haven't grown very well, but they're still useful. And we've got the beetroot down there, and again this was planted quite late, and really I'm not really sure how worthwhile it is planting sort of in July time. Best a little bit earlier, I think, but I've got plenty of beetroot at home, so it's not a problem. It's all in store. This is one of my sprout beds that we harvest for leaves, and this is doing remarkably well, and these are planted in clumps, and there's a clump of 3 sprouts in each location, and it has done remarkably well. They're developing nice sprout tops here, which I'll be harvesting soon. I don't think I'll get any sprouts off them, but again, that's not the intention. We wanted them for leaves. And then we've got some lovely cabbages now coming on, really hearting up very, very nicely. So really pleased with those. So I'll just take a quick look at the salad beds, and the plants are all looking really healthy, but as I say, the growth rate's quite low, so we're only probably getting 1 leaf per plant per week, per 2 or 3 days, which, you know, is a pretty good harvest because we've got quite a few beds. But this does kind of demonstrate, I think, quite clearly that if you want to be self-sufficient in winter, when everything's growing really, you know, quite slowly, you need to have a lot planted in September and October and November, and so you're going to have a massive surplus in September, a reasonable surplus in October, and then a slight surplus in November, and then no surplus at all in December. You know, you're just going to have just enough, and that's why I have such a big surplus, because in order to be self-sufficient, you just got to grow too much at some times of the year. And these Salanova reds, again, these are also doing really nicely, but you'll see, just, you know, you do have to keep an eye on them, because you'll see some like that you know, starting to get a bit of mould on those leaves, so we need to get rid of those before it spreads. So maintenance is quite important, especially over winter, you know, when disease can spread so quickly and easily. We've still got just a few of the black carrots left now. We've got a carrot bed at home, and then we'll be on to the carrots that are in store. Now, this is the last strawberry bed that I planted, and I also planted garlic down the outer edges here, and shallots down the centre, and all the shallots are up now nearly. Yeah, I think actually all of them, and the garlic's just starting to push through, so I'm pretty pleased about that. All the strawberry plants seem to have taken nicely, and these are an ever-bearing one as well, so it doesn't matter that they went a little bit late. They'll catch up by the time we want them in sort of August, September time. And then this is the smallest of the brassica beds, and it's just got a really wide selection of all sorts of different things on here. But I'm particularly pleased with broccolinis. These plants have just given and given and given for so long, and at every junction basically we're getting beautiful little broccoli florets, and for 3 months or more, so it's been really lovely. And even the sprouts are starting to firm up on these, and these were planted so late, I thought I'd only get them for leaves, but some lovely sprouts now. You can see the sprouts. I find that when you plant them really late like this, the sprouts are a bit blown, but actually that's great because I love blown sprouts. I much prefer them to the tight ones. Really great. I've got one little radicchio bed here, and it's a kind of strange plant, radicchio. I wasn't really sure whether it was worth growing, and then I kind of took these hearts and mixed them into the salad mixes, and boy do they make them really pop. Such bright red colours. They're really gorgeous, and they don't look very good here, but once you've taken these outer leaves off, you get these wonderful deep red hearts, and they're really fantastic, so highly recommended. Pleased to say all my spring onions are now doing fantastically, and I'm gradually working my way through this bed, and then we'll move on to some of the other beds. We're getting some lovely leaves off the chard plants, and they all look really healthy. I gave them a bit of a clear up. All my plants are really small, you'll notice, because they're just harvested so frequently. We harvest twice a week. We take everything we can basically, and the plants just keep on giving. So you'll never see kind of massive chard plants on my plant. About 6 beds that look like this, and I'm not going to show you them all, but these are all very young plants that will just overwinter, and I'm pretty pleased with them, looking quite healthy. And I've got one bed of spinach which is going to be overwintered for spring, and this one I'm pleased with, but then I've got another one which is looking really rubbish. So this was planted in the dodgy compost, it's never really recovered, and so I think I should be pulling this up and putting some new plants in. And I've got another bed of the radicchio over there. Final lettuce bed that I'll show you is another one of overwintering salads, and if anything these are growing slightly too well. Got a lovely crop of interplanted spring onions in there. They're doing beautifully, but these plants are a little bit big. I prefer that they'd be slightly smaller at this stage, but still it's pretty good. I've had to harvest some of the leaves off these just so I can keep them in good condition. And about a week ago I did pop some orientals in there. I think there's a Mizuna at the back, and then there's some giant red mustard in the middle, which probably should have gone at the back actually because it grows pretty big. But I am intending to pick the giant red mustard when it's really small leaves to include in salad mixes, because once they get big they get very, very hot. But the young leaves, really quite nice. And then in here we've got bull's blood beetroot, and again I'll be picking young leaves of these to go into the salad mixes, assuming that they actually grow a bit. They were another batch planted in the dodgy compost, so they didn't grow on, but now they're in the ground, hopefully they'll pick up a little bit. So I think I've got more stuff on my plot, but obviously time is of the essence, so let's leave it there and we'll have a quick look on Jennie's plot. So I'm on Jennie's plot, and I'm changing the way that we manage this this year, because we're not growing potatoes in the ground this year, and that actually gives us quite a lot of extra space, and we're going to use that for growing beetroot and carrots and lettuces and spinach and things like that, and that'll take a bit of the pressure off my plot in August and September, where really I'm trying to focus then on transitioning over to the late autumn and winter crops. But I'm, traditionally I've been trying to keep the harvest going in August, but by switching this plot over to those sorts of vegetables in sort of June, July and August, it really takes the pressure off me, so that'll be really good. And I'll just point out, I kind of manage the planting plan on all the plots, and we just manage these all 3 plots as a family, so Jennie is often to be found on my plot or Debbie's plot as she is on her own, and I'm just as often to be found on Jennie's plot as on mine. So anyway, let's just have a quick look around. All the trees are harvested now, and I'm looking forward to getting these pruned. And I've got to say, the Braben has been the absolute star of the show. What a tree! That little tiny tree there, I got 8 apples off it, and they were just gorgeous. So definitely going to be looking to see if I can squeeze another Braben in here somewhere. Okay, so this is the main brassica plot. We've got the PSB down here, and this is all looking absolutely fantastic. Really pleased with this, but we are getting a little bit of damage from the pigeons. So in the next video that I'll do, I'll show you what I'm going to do to try and keep the pigeons off. But yeah, I just love purple sprouting broccoli. In fact, we all love purple sprouting broccoli. So at this time of year, there's quite a lot of competition for the for these few plants. But yeah, they're all coming on pretty good, and we're going to have loads. We've got loads more plants for winter and early spring. So this is one of our new strawberry beds that we put in not long ago, and we had such fun planting all these. Jennie was down here with her little boy, and he just loves planting, and he's getting pretty good at it, even though he's only kind of 2.5 years old. So yeah, all the strawberries have taken nicely. Need to get all these big old leaves trimmed off them soon, and all the garlic is up now, I think. Maybe not, just maybe that one station there, but yeah, might still break through. And this is a mid-season variety, so pretty pleased with that. It should be quite prolific. Then we've got another strawberry bed here, and this is earlies, I think, down here, and lates at the back. And then we've got elephant garlic down the centre, and most of that is up now as well. So can't complain. Main garlic bed here, and again it's all coming up pretty nicely. Almost every station's up now, and that's the main early onion bed down there. Although we are going to be growing a lot of stir on as spring onions, and then we'll take some of that. We'll let some of those spring onions mature into bulbs, so we'll be harvesting those from about March time, so we'll have fresh onions from about March, which should be pretty nice. We've got the onion bed, that's looking fine, and then we've got this big bed of field beans, and hopefully all the bacteria on the roots are pumping nitrogen to the nodules, ready for the brassicas to feed on them in April time. We are getting a little bit of weeds growth on here, so I need to get in and get all these out, because you know, with weeds you don't want them to get more than an inch tall really. They put too much root down by then, it's hard to get them out. So I think pretty much that's Jennie's plot. There we go, that's the weeding done. We worked pretty hard on Jennie's plot to reduce the workload, and it's quite nice now really to be at the position that you know, managing this plot and helping Jennie manage this plot is probably takes us less time than doing the video of it, which is pretty nice. So our water saving campaign continues. We just popped in this big dip tank here and put new gutters on. Jennie's shed, gutter on here, and we added these little barrels already, so we're actually going to move this one over here so that this one overflows into that one, but it's full at the moment, so we won't bother moving it yet. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. I think we've pretty much done everything we can on the water saving front now, and so it's a really nice feeling to get that all done. So I'm just walking to Debbie's plot, and I'm super chilled out at the moment because, you know, I feel like we've made a lot of progress. The biggest kind of worry on the allotment has always been availability of water and just the time taken watering, and because we've got these big dip tanks in now, it's just really easy, you know, just to dip the watering can in those tanks and fill them up. And the tanks, you know, I've got about 30 watering cans full, so you know, it's just really fast and efficient to water now. Yeah, so I'm just chilled. Everything's in good order, I'm just really happy with everything. So here we are on Debbie's plot, and everything is looking pretty good still, and most of the focus at the moment is just tidying up now. Everything that's in is going to stay in. We are just getting a little bit of pigeon damage here, look, you see, and so we do need to do a little bit of protection on some of these, but other than that, everything's good. And Debbie's just popped some of those sprouts and PSB under this little cloche with the those other brassicas down there, and they're all enjoying this environment quite a lot. And the others are just at the end here, and they're just stuck underneath these little fleece bags just to help them transition to the cold and windy weather. And we'll take those off soon. And it's going to be interesting to compare and contrast. Whoops, nearly fell over then. Compare and contrast the progress of these brassicas outdoors by comparison with the ones in the polytunnel. And so, yeah, quite looking forward to seeing the results of that. I think with that, we will finish on Deb's plot. Okay, so that's all done, and I hope this didn't turn out to be too excessively long, but let me know if these are too long, and I'll see if I can do something about it. With that, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you soon.